Hopefully y'all can hear me. If y'all can, let me get a comment in the chat box, right? But yeah, everyone. So I'm just random thoughts. I'm not really. There's a couple of things I want to touch on tonight, but and nothing. We're not doing any hard subject today. Just random thoughts. Um, I'm trying to see if I want to start off with the most enticing stuff first. Um, what's going on? 18th letter. What's going on, Louis Conyer? Lou, I have not made you a moderator. There you go. You've been upgraded, sir. You've been upgraded. You could come up. You could come up to the top floor now. I'm messing with you, Louis. So, yeah. So, I guess I'll start because 18th letter's in here. So I'll throw him some red meat. We'll start off with Miss shout out to Angry Man, Miss Maybelline Muppet herself. We'll start off there. I'll talk about some other stuff like that bridge that connects Crimea to Russia and that explosion. I don't know if y'all saw that, but goddamn. Oh, and Whoopi Goldberg said there's gonna be a Sister Act 3. We'll also talk about what was going on, Zulu. We'll also talk about damn, don't BGS's video where he speaks about pretty much we've Clark and Kenneth Clark and God damn, why I always forget her name when I really need it. Um the sister that passed away earlier this year, Bell Hooks. Why did I want to forget Bell Hooks' name? Jesus Christ. Yeah, Bell Hooks. We'll talk about that also. I'll talk about some car stuff because me and my barber, even though I'm bald, obviously I get my beard taped up. Me and my barber were talking about EV cars earlier today. So I'll just touch on a bunch of random stuff. So yes, there will be car talk for all my non-car people. I'm sorry, you're gonna be tortured. But let's start off with the Paris Milan thing. So I peeked into one of her lives earlier this week. I think it was either last night or the night before, and she was essentially saying she was ranking men, right? So she was essentially chastising other black women for finding certain black men attractive that Paris Milan herself doesn't find attractive. Um, and the first person she brought up was what's going on, Rogish? Thank you for the super chat. Rogish came in the door with the money. Rogish put the money on the table when he walked in the door. Right? So what's going on? But yeah, so Paris Milan went on to chastise black women about finding certain black men attractive. She's essentially saying, stop hyping these black men up. Stop calling them attractive. Stop, especially these, she called them mid males, right? Mid males, which I guess they're mid looking, but black women are like, and she sounded so weird. She said something like, y'all just be hyping these men up just because they're black. And I'm like, what? So her first person she made fun of was the brother that's gonna play King the Conqueror, or the brother that's playing King the Conqueror. Um, she just was going in. I'm like, but that was not even the thing that really got me. Her intro. So essentially, it looks like, and I think me and 18th Letter have called this out before. It looks like she's gonna pivot slowly from kind of what she's doing now with the rage porn content to trying to talk about lifestyle branding, which speaks to Angry Man calling her the Maybelline Muppet. She's gonna start talking about this black women in luxury stuff, I guess, more and more. Um, and all I thought to myself is what I said before, which is like these women are profiting off of these young women and girls' anger, right? So they come in the door, they give you a bunch of rage porn content, a bunch of things to make you angry as a young woman, as a girl in high school or in college or whatever. And then they take all the money that you've given them or all the attention and they cash that in for some business and then slowly move away. But they make it seem like they're maturing. No, it's a they came in the door using the algorithm and your anger to profit. And then they just use that profit to kind of skyrocket into something else. It's like the white dudes that come into the hip hop industry, make some money, right? Make some money off of the hip hop industry, and then later on they move on to become an actor or something like that. I mean, what's his face? Marky Mark, anyone? You know, or what's the white dude? God damn, I forgot his name. That the one that came out with White Iverson, right? So this is like the plan, right? Um, no, not Paul Wall. Don't do that. Paul Wall might be the one white dude that looks pretty damn authentic in the hip hop industry. Like he's married to a black woman. He stays around black. He stays messing with black people. He's still messing with Slim Thug in them. And he when we were doing the whole Black Bank thing, I saw him and Willie D in them. So he was at the Black Bank. Like we ain't gonna do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Paul Wall is the one dude you're more skeptical than to look at him sideways, right? You're not gonna maybe look at Paul Wall sideways. I look at all white people sideways, but Paul Wall might. You still ain't coming to the barbecue. I don't know. I don't believe in this white inviting white people to the barbecue just because type thing, right? But Paul Paul Wall, we might send him a plate. We'll send you a plate home, but I don't know. But Paul Wall, yeah, he's the one dude I've never looked at sideways in the hip hop industry, right? The one white dude I've never looked at sideways, right? All the rest of them, eh. Shout out to all the older brothers, the Xers that didn't see Kid Rock coming. Like, how did you not see Kid Rock for who he was? Right? And we ain't even gonna talk about that racist ass song that Eminem put out when he was younger because he got turned down by some sister, right? The 18 letter said, yeah, she's scared because Nyla says channel got deleted. Yeah. So I've heard. Yeah. Right. So yeah, man. So yeah. So Paris, and she made it seem like a maturing thing, and like it's all about the bag. Y'all got to be careful for these people, man. Like I said, y'all see what I talk about on my channel. I talk about all, but like everything, politics, social issues. Yes, I talk about black women, and actually, I'm gonna go into that right now. The reason why I in the black manosphere talk about black women and talk about black intimacy and black relationships is because of how important it is in what I would see, what I think the future is. I think we've been pushed into hyper individualism for the better part of 40 some odd 50 years, and it's completely destroyed nuclear families in America. Before we even get into race, obviously for black people, it's ripped us apart. And when I look at people like Paris, like Chrissy, name them, like Real Talk with Yanni, you name them, Nyla says, like y'all said, name all of them. What I see is a group of people, these particular women, angering their subscribers even more, their subscribers and followers, without talking about a larger social and political structure and an economic structure, right? You can see, like, look at how we were speaking about COVID, right? We had the brother Rodney coming on and telling us, hey man, this is going to be a real thing, take it seriously, right? We had all type of people coming on, hey, by the way, y'all might want to stock up because stores are going to be looking kind of ugly. I mean, like, the brother Lewis is in my comments right now. Lewis came on, he told us about the store thing and like what's going on with the stores and how they're running out of supplies and whatever. And I'm like, bruh, like this, that's what I'm saying. Like we have these real conversations on our lives. Brothers are telling me stuff in my comments. You know, it's real talk here. And I so appreciate that and love that about you guys. But when I peep these other people's channels, these swirlers, divestors, swirler and divestor adjacent, black women empowerment women, whatever you want to call them, they're not doing none of that. It's just lifestyle branding, rage porn, anger stuff. And I'm like, even if you were trying to look out for black women alone, there's no way you think that like that is gonna help black women. Just go date out, go marry out, go, you know, look out for number one, look out for yourself. I mean, I don't know if you realize that this society's been pushing that for decades. That's half the reason why people are in the situation they're in. That don't trust anybody, look out for number one thing. That's just, it's not working. Lewis said there's a pasta shortage now. Not the pasta. Right? So like, I mean, we got the elder BGS talking and telling us what's going on around the world. I mean, we have hot sauce every once in a while. If he's not afraid that they're gonna come for him, he tell us what's going on in China. I mean, we I love that. And like I said, I barely watched anything about that bridge that connects Crimea to Russia being exploded. Like, this is I love the fact that we try to keep each other informed in these spaces so that your anger is a righteous anger if you have it and you know how to move now with more information, right? It's not just, black women ain't ish. Like, man, like it can't just keep on being black women ain't ish. Like are a lot of them ain't ish? Yeah. But it's not just that. That's so myopic, right? It's so myopic. No, I know you're serious, Lewis. I know you're serious. Right? So yeah, I'm listening to Paris and I'm like, bruh, like you're the worst, bro. Like y'all be I just look at her like a sassy airhead, right? And I'm like, if this is because according to her, she's under the age of 30, and I think she really is under the age of 30. And I'm like, if this is what young millennial and Gen Z black men have to look forward to, like Paris Milan type acting black women, oh my god, damn, like that's what y'all got to date? Just these, and it's just I'm a black man, grew up in the black community around black people from the diaspora, black Americans, Haitians, Jamaicans, Trinis, Nigerians. So I'm used to black women sass, right? That's just what come with the territory. But these newfangled 35 and younger, pretty much my age and younger, but definitely under the, like, they're just sassy for, it's just unwarranted sass. Like they come in the door just mean. Like there's no other way to say it. I'm not gonna look for another euphemism for mean. There's mean and sassy for no reason, right? They don't gotta be ticked off, right? They're walking in the door like that. And I'm like, this is what, Gen Z and younger millennial men gotta deal with? This? God damn. Oh my, just the attitude, just the sass for no reason, and just right? When I look at Real Talk with Yanni, I'm like, are you putting on for the girls that's watching you, for the women that are watching you, or is that the real you? The exaggerated facial expressions, the neck rolling. I mean, now that she lost weight, she got a little body now, whatever. So dudes are gonna want to pipe, but bruh, if she act like that in her real life, woo! Hey, the fact that you light skinned and you got a body on you is the only reason them dudes probably messing with you, because that attitude, if that's the real you, oh, that's horrible. Shout out to whoever is in a relationship with Real Talk with Yanni, nigga. Oh my god. Bruh, whatever happened to you, happened to you. Don't say we ain't warned you, player. Don't say we ain't warned you. Woo, that. Same thing with Paris Milan. Shout out to whoever. Y'all dudes are like, y'all, I don't know what faith y'all have. It gotta be arrogance, right? It gotta be arrogance that make you think you gonna be the one to do something with that. Like, I don't know, be in a long-term relationship or get married and have children and go the distance. Shout out to all you dudes who think you can turn, if they are who they show on YouTube, shout out to all you dudes who think you can turn those women into wives. And even if they're not who they show that they are on YouTube, what makes it worse is mean that they're acting. And then you got to question their character and their morality for being these type of people online to make some money. Making money off of other black girls and women's loneliness and sadness and ignorance about the environment and their rage and their resentment, And then you see their content and then you think you could still turn a woman like that into a serious girlfriend or a wife. It's like that. It's like seeing a woman that has like 3 baby daddies and then you mess with her anyway. Like, I dare to hit a raw. You're gonna be baby daddy number 4, right? And so it's like seeing that what she produces to make money, and then thinking that you won't be a victim of the way she speaks, right? That's crazy. And Paris was kind of bigging up Chrissy because she said Chrissy did it the right way. Chrissy doesn't show her face. And I've seen how Paris looks before, whatever. But yeah, she was like, Chrissy doesn't show her face, and and she was telling the women, like, if you make content like this, don't show your face because it can mess with your job. It can mess with, and I'm like, do you not understand the subtext of what you're saying? Let me, just in case Paris ever hears this, she won't, but okay. You're going around saying the most insane things about black men. So are these other content creators. And then you wonder why they shouldn't show their face? Right? Like that, once again, I'm also a content creator. I don't talk about black women like they're the most evil, disgusting things that ever crawled out the slime. I don't go in making fun of them and being sassy and being like, well, Jordan married white after he married black because he was leveling up, and this man married white because he was leveling up, like Paris did, right? Oh, she said chose better. I'm sorry, she didn't say level up. Ketanji chose better, right? Kamala chose better. Serena chose better. I don't do that. So if I'm ever doxxed, it won't be any, oh, he deserved what he get because look how he was talking about black women. Nah. Let's be honest. Y'all are saying some neo-Nazi style stuff, getting off on seeing black men hurt, whether it's physical or emotional or whatever. And that's why y'all can see Matt, you asking Nissan questions. Right? Y'all getting off on, see, I'm gonna answer that question in a minute, by the way. Right? So like, yeah, of course these women should hide their faces if they're gonna be being whole neo-Nazis online. Right? On to other news. That bridge, hey, Vlad's pissed, y'all. I'm just gonna call him Vlad. Vlad is pissed. But somebody said in the comments for real, like, bro, how you think you're gonna just go and slap up Ukraine and then you don't think y'all gonna lose anything? Right? Vlad's pissed because that, I've seen different angles, images of that bridge. Hey, that was no joke. That's like straight out of a movie. Right? That's straight out of a movie. For those of you that don't know, the one connecting bridge from Crimea to mainland Russia got bombed essentially. Right? And like half of the bridge is like collapsed. Right? Half of the bridge is collapsed. So yeah, so whatever Russia was on before, they're about to escalate. Right? And apparently they arrested 8 people, if I'm not mistaken, in connection with that. Shout out to you, Trell Bentley. What's going on? Happy Friday, bro. Happy Friday. Right? So yeah, so that's craziness. And there's some real like, don't get it twisted. There is some real protests going on in Russia. Now, how much of it is being stoked by Russian, not Russians, but Europeans and Americans, money in the background? Probably going on. But how much of it is legitimate, because apparently Vlad instituted a draft, that's also a real thing. So some of it is obviously being stoked by American and European dollars, right? But the rest of it is like, people not wanting to go fight and die in Ukraine, right? So that's a real thing, right? It's just total chaos right now all over the place. Xi is over here disappearing billionaires in China. Wait, what am I saying? Vlad be disappearing billionaires too. What am I saying? What, right? Hey, bro. Hey, these other nations is crazy. Shout out to the Roger Report. Raj, why you? I didn't have you as a mod, Raj. Now you're a mod, Raj. What the hell? Um, Shout out to the Roger Report. Raj, I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna tell him. That was Raj that just called me a minute ago, you guys. I'm sorry, Raj. I had to ignore your call. You called me right on the beginning of the live, right? Um, but yeah, so that's what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. I don't want to venture to say anything more than that. I don't know where we go from here. It ain't looking good. I mean, other than the fact that we know America. I mean, like, this is like not a secret, right? This is like out in the open. The fact that we're funding the Ukrainians, like that's not even. And I'm saying we because not because I'm black. I'm saying we because my tax dollars, right? So yeah, that the U.S. Let me say it better. The U.S. citizens are funding the Ukrainians, and that's mainly the only reason they could really stand up to Russia right now, and not even, right? And on other news, EV cars. So I was watching this channel called TFL Cars, um, white dudes out of Colorado, and the main guy he had the new Hummer EV, and it broke. It just shut off on him. That's $100,000+, 9,000 pound. Yes, the Hummer EV is 9,000 pounds. That shit's huge. I've seen it in person. I've seen one driving not too far from where I live, and it's huge. It's huge, and it broke. Yeah, 100,000. Remember, that's 100,000 before taxes and everything, dealer markups and everything, right? This is a brand spanking new vehicle, and it's malfunctioning on a big channel like TFL Car is not no little bitty thing, right? So yeah, so yeah, you could spend. Well, I mean, like I live in Miami, I see it all the time, right? Like these super, yes, expensive cars break too. Everyone like exotics break too, right? That's just crazy. What other? What? Oh yeah, supposedly Sister Act 3 is coming out. Whoopi Goldberg just said it right to Charlemagne, so they're working. Oh, let me say that back. Let me say that correctly. They're in talks for it to come out. Now, if this is 2022 and they're saying that, we don't know when that's going to be. That might be a year or so from now, maybe 2 years from now. We might see that movie. I like Sister Act 1 and 2, so let's see. Right? Let's see. So Raj is getting on me right now. Let me read Raj's comment real quick. Raj said, "You're supposed to put your phone on do not disturb when you start your lives, my brother. That's better than ratting me out." I'm sorry, Raj. I'm sorry. Oh man, what's going on, Gio Gami? What's up? What's up, man? Yeah, yeah. Trell Bentley. Yes, Sister Act 3. Look, Sister, I was a kid when those came out. They were straight. Let's see. But see what I didn't think just now is what the messaging behind Sister Act 3 might be. And I just thought about a rainbow flag for some reason. I put money. I put money. Something like that is going to be going on. You know it. You know it. You know it, right? You know it. Yeah, man. In other news, something else I've been following is kind of the fall off of men in this society. I think for those of you that know Sagar and Crystal, Sagar and Jetty, and Crystal Ball, they used to be on the Hill, and now they have their own thing called Breaking Points, and they're so good that when they left the Hill, their replacement, them, right? I don't know. It just said something. Okay, yeah, my phone just said something. Okay, let me say that again. Sagar and Jetty and Crystal Ball, who used to work for the Hill, they were news commentators on the Hill. Now they have their own thing called Breaking Points, and they just pulled two of the people that were their replacement off. So that's like 106 in Park, like right, like type thing. Like No, y'all come work for us now. We over here, and that's what happened. But anyway, so Sagar is really pressing the point of like men falling off in our society, right? And so he keeps on bringing in sociologists or like researchers to keep on drilling the point, and he's been doing that for a while. And I kind of like this this tying of the political to the social, right? Which it's always been that, like, so that's nothing new. But us having a conversation in our society, and it's still kind of on the fringes with the conversation about men in general. And then for us as black men, we're having the conversation about black men, but how what we policies and statutes and things like that that have been instituted over the past 50 years, now we're kind of doing the research about how that's affected our overall society, and it's not looking good, right? So supposedly some seven or so million men are not in the workforce of prime working age between, I think he said 24 to 54 or something like that, 55 or something like that. The researcher that Sagar was interviewing. What else did he say? For every one man on unemployment, it's like three or four that are not even looking, right? And these men are like completely out of the workforce, completely, like, not only are they not looking, like they're not contributing to the society, they're not doing church programs or nothing. They're like either sitting on their girlfriend's couch, their mother's couch, or their wife's couch, right? Or I mean, I guess that would be their couch also, but yeah, right? So that's another interesting thing. And Sagar's just drilling that over and over again. A few weeks, last week or the week before, he had Richard Reeves. Richard Reeves works for the Brookings Institute, researcher. He's originally from Britain. I've been following Richard Reeves for some years, maybe 3 or 4 years now, maybe. He's the one that wrote Dream Hoarders. Like I told y'all, he wrote another book recently about men and boys kind of falling off of this society. And I'm that's gonna maybe be a live that I do soon about that, because I think that's very interesting to have that conversation about how this affects society. Because I've said it before, this society don't care if 5% of men fall off, right? 1%, 5%. But when you start working on 20%, 25%, right? A third, now you got an issue, right? If men in general start practicing laying flat, which may not fully be not being in the workforce, but it just may be, you know what? I'm only gonna do things that I want to do. I'm just gonna sustain myself. I'm not trying to be extravagant. I'm not trying to have the nicest things. I'm just gonna do what I want to do for me and screw everyone else. Your society can't you know can't sustain that. And like Black Uru says, somebody gonna have to pay for these O's, right? Somebody, right? And yeah, and we were saying this on was it your channel, Rogish, at one point, where like, all right, let's say men stop marrying women and whatever, they're just gonna up the price of like Xbox subscriptions or something, right? I think Raj was part of that conversation too. Like, your Xbox yearly subscription is gonna stop being like $50 or something like that, and it's just gonna go up to like $1,000. Like, look, we gonna get you somehow to pay for these women, right? Hey, we gonna get you somehow. Pornhub is gonna stop being free. They're gonna start charging you, right? X Hamster and stuff. They're gonna start charging you like $50, $60, $70, right? It's gonna start being like $2 a video to watch it or whatever. Right? It's funny, but it's not funny. It's funny, but it's not, because you're gonna pay for these women somehow, right? What else did I want to cover? It was something else that I wanted to cover that I saw. Oh yeah. Continuing the conversation about Nuri Martinez in California. Apparently she finally did step down, not just from being the head councilwoman, but stepped down completely. What was interesting, and I don't know how many of us stressed this part, is the whole conversation was about gerrymandering and redistricting and limiting black people's power in the vote, right? So, like, yes, clearly money matters in politics. Anyone tell you different is a liar. They're trying to sell you a bridge in Brooklyn. But also, votes matter. Don't get it twisted. You can't just win with money, right? Like, clearly, if you didn't know, in 2016, Hillary Clinton spent more than Trump. Hillary Clinton's campaign, I think, was about was it 1.2 billion? It was a lot. Was it 9 billion? It was 900 million. Something close. And I think Trump undercut her by a few $100 million. And he still won. So, hey, money matters. Yes, it does. Anybody tell you different, they're lying to you. But there's a reason why they're trying to limit your vote. There's a reason why they gutted voting rights right when the Supreme Court didn't, renew it. Like, there's a reason. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, money matters, but your vote does matter. And so they're trying to redistrict the city of LA, and that's what Nuri Martinez was so pissed about. That's why she said, "Oh, he's with the F that guy, he's with the blacks." Right? And I actually did find it very interesting, all the Latinos that protested her. Because if you see any video, it's not just black people outside of her house. It's not just black people outside of whatever city hall that was. There was a sizable portion of Latinos, right? I guess they don't really want to be called racist, and they don't really want. But then you have other Latinos that tell you, yeah, listen, Latinos, there's some racist bunch over here, right? There's some racist bunch, right? Gil tells, didn't the Chinese government do something like that in last year or so? Right? Yeah, the Chinese are off the chain too. I don't want to go into too much detail, but y'all go ahead and research the Uyghur population in China, and because I know we look at some of these countries that are a bit more authoritarian. I actually got the word out. I was trying to get that word out a few days ago. I was speaking to one of my friends, and I could not get authoritarian out for nothing. It actually became funny. I could not get the word out for nothing. Right? You ever just triple? And I was trying for like 10 minutes throughout the conversation. I just could not get the word out. But I guess today, I got it out. Let's see if I fumble on it later. But I know sometimes we look at these nations and we think they're so peaceful, and their families are intact, and they don't have the same crime rate and whatever. But there's a cost to pay. Like, we think about the term freedom cost, right? Freedom isn't free. And there is going to be some civil unrest in your society when you're supposedly a free society, right? What comes with that is a little waywardness, right? That's what comes with it. So when you see what's going on in China or Russia, like look at what, like I said, the protest in Russia right now, and their human rights is not the same as like ours. So like, if you get banged up by the cops, then that's just what happened. Who are you gonna go to? The cops, right? It's just different. It's just those particular societies are just different. You get roughed up by the cops, so be it, right? And like black people, black men, in particular, kind of know what that is. Actually, not kind of know exactly what that is. So yeah. Make sure I'm checking something right now. Yeah, the Uyghurs. Yeah, yep. Trail Bentley said the Uyghurs. Yeah. Oh, okay, Gil got me. You talking about the video game restrictions? I'm sorry, y'all. I got to keep on like switching back and forth between two different ways of viewing comments, because one way doesn't show me all of them, and then the other way doesn't show me all of them. So if you think you said something and I missed it, it's because maybe I didn't see it because of the one comments. Oh, the video game restriction. Yeah, so from my understanding, you have to be a certain age, number one, and then they get to monitor how many hours of video games you're playing a day. It's something weird. Yeah, Gilgami. It's something weird. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what the thing was. And let me answer the brother that asked me about RB28 DETT and a 240. First of all, you got to tell me where you found an RB28 so we could come and rob your ass, right? For those of you that don't know, the RB28, well, the RB26 came in the R32, 33, and 34 Nissan Skyline GTRs. And the RB28 is a super rare, practically race engine that came in the R33 Nismo, what is it, Nismo 400R, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and so first of all, the R33 has always been my favorite Skyline. Let me get this up because I got to rant real quick about car stuff. So what's interesting about the car game right now is that because everything is just getting wiped up, right? Everything. Cars that people didn't used to consider, now they're considering them. Which means if you were like drooling over a particular car for the past 20 years and you're finally getting to the place where you might be able to touch it, some some person that can't afford a Supra now or can't afford an NSX now, right? They and they have the money, they're just gonna swoop in and just buy your dream car, and that price is just gonna start to inflate. So I'm saying that because nobody really liked the R33 like that. It was the 32 because it was light and it was the first like big GTR that was all-wheel drive, and it won a bunch of races in Australia, and that's why that's the car that's really the Godzilla. So when you see people refer to Nissan Skylines and Nissan GTRs as Godzilla, it's really because of the R33, excuse me, the R32 GTR, right? Because that's what the Aussies were calling it, because it was just mopping up everything when they first put it on the circuit in 89 and 90. Now, the R33 was its follow-up. That's my favorite one, and I think they made the R33 from what, 94 or 95 up until like 98 maybe, and it's the one that has the least production run out of the GTRs. Then they made the R34. So everybody like the 32 or the 34. The 33 didn't get no love really until it became legal to import them in America because it passed the 25-year import restriction thingy majigger. And now everybody's getting an R33. And before, if you knew someone, you could have got an R33 in the country for like 30 grand, $25,000, right? Now you can't touch an R33 without at least 45,000, and that's for a complete beater practically. But really like $55,000, $50,000, $60,000 for an R33. But that's a car that nobody wanted. Or like, let me don't take that back. Let me take that back. It's not that nobody wanted. That wasn't the ideal GTR though, right? But because a few people my age, millennials and some of the Xers with some money, right? Like they're just mopping up everything, and they know the R34 is going to be legal. I think the R34 started being sold in '99. I was watching a video and I actually shared it with one of my friends in a group chat on IG, where like, let me tell you how crazy it is. So the R34 is going to be legal in 2024, right? Or 23 to import without all the crazy restrictions. There are warehouses in Japan that are literally the R30. They have houses like garage full of R34s, super rare Supras, and all of that sitting there because people already bought them and they're just waiting for them to be legal in the US without the restrictions, and they're just gonna ship them. So the people already bought the car. That's insane, right? And by the way, you're not gonna be able to touch an R34 probably without 70, 75,000 for like a uber basic R34 GTR, right? And like the super clean ones that are nice and rare are like $250,000. I'm not joking. This is for a Nissan, everyone. For a freaking Nissan. We're not talking about no Ferrari or Lamborghini. We're talking about a box-shaped Nissan with all-wheel drive and not even 400 horsepower. Right? So like, yeah. Anyway, I went on that little rant because the brother asked me about RB28s and a 240, and I want to know where the hell you found an RB28. That's what I want to know. Because them shits is uber rare. Right, let me check my. Yeah. those are like super rare. Because they, I don't even know how many did they make. They made like a couple dozen, I think, Nismo 400Rs, if even. So yeah, that's like insanely rare engine. Anyway, on to other news. Um, do we know anything about the Bolsonaro Lula race in Brazil? Because I know people thought it was going to be Lula. I think they're doing a runoff or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Because I was following the story loosely, but I kind of lost it about a week ago, right? Yeah. Diaspora EL said R33, huh? Well, if it makes you feel any better, the 2007 2008 350Z HR VQ 3.5 VQ variant price shot up too. Yeah, well the HR, that's the high rev, right? Yeah, of course it went up. Right? That's when they came with the projectors, the HIDs, right? And the high revving VQ engine. Yeah, of course. Of course. Of course. Like that's just, man, even though I have my Z, I still get annoyed by like what's going on in the car world right now. Because I really do feel sad for people that like, you know, in the next 5, 10 years, you're pretty much gonna be definitely in the next 10 years. Every anything that was even remotely cool is gonna be insane and insanely expensive. For all of you that have something you looking at, especially if it's Japanese or German, you better, if you can, because I am black and I know that this shit ain't cheap, especially if you have a family and whatnot. But if you can, there's a bunch of cars that you don't think are gonna shoot up in price. They're gonna shoot up in price. Like the brother said, the 350Z, that means G35 coupes, right? 370Zs, um, G37 sedans, especially if they're manual, G37 coupes, especially if they're manual, all the cool stuff. What else? I think MR2 are starting to shoot up in price also, finally, because the Supra been unaffordable. So yeah, so anything that's cool, you know. All the E36 M3s. I mean E36 M3s been shot up in price, so that's not, yeah. Trail Bentley, exactly. Trail Bentley said the internal combustion engine's about to get priced out. Pretty much. If you have anything that was performance oriented and it's manual, all right. Within the next 5 years might be too soon depending on the car, but definitely within the next 10, because remember, so many car companies are saying that they want to go all electric by 2035. And I think that really kicked off. I'm not saying it was the first company to say this, but it really kicked off with Volkswagen. For those of you that remember, Volkswagen got caught up in that emission scandal years ago. And if you don't know, so Volkswagen diesel cars were running really good. They were running really low emissions, right? Because they were being tested in these specific emissions warehouses or whatever. Let me tell you how slick Volkswagen was. So what Volkswagen did is, in its computer, it was, if it knew the center, if it knew it was being tested, yes, if the car realized it was being tested for emissions, it would lower its emissions. Yes, y'all heard it right. It's not like the car was sentient. It's that Volkswagen programmed them so that, oh, these are the different emissions test places. So anytime the car realizes it's going to this place or it's in this place and it's going to be tested, it would lower its emissions, right? And so what ended up happening, I can't remember if it was Car and Driver, it was one of these kind of big, was it a bigger publication? Maybe not. But some one of these publications brought it to like kind of an off-site, kind of unknown testing facility, and then it was running higher emissions than what it was running at another facility. So they just started testing that, and I think they tested another Volkswagen and it did the same thing, and then the scandal kind of blew up. And so it got bad. Volkswagen people were getting fired. A couple of them jumped on a plane and went back to Volkswagen. I mean, literally Germany's. Yeah, man. A couple of people like higher up in Volkswagen had to step down. It was a huge like scandal. It rocked the automotive industry, honestly, right? Because like this car company, Volkswagen has had a pretty good reputation in the car world for a while, right? Obviously minus the Hitler connection, but you know we ain't gonna go there. But right, they've had a pretty good reputation, and so this just rocked everything. I think some of their higher ups that didn't make it on a plane soon enough got in trouble. I think they got arrested and all time because that's big. You're like that's a big lie. That's a big lie. Emissions on a like company wide level, right? So yeah, so I guess after it kind of it kind of died down. Volkswagen was like, okay, here's our mea culpa. We're by 2035 we're going all electric, right? So yeah, so they set that bar. I think GM kind of followed up with that, and just a bunch of other car companies. Pretty much by 2040, everything's going to practically be all electric, right? So, and it's interesting, tying that to what I was going to say earlier about the EVs. So, one of the kind of things that's happening now is that people are testing that new F-150 Lightning. For those of us that remember the two generations of Lightnings in the 90s and the early aughts, I love that second generation Lightning. That is one of the best looking trucks, and it's quick. And I know the Viper V10 truck kind of dethroned it in power and whatnot, but to me the second generation F-150 Lightning, the one that Paul Walker had in Fast and Furious 1, that shit in like that blue, that kind of purplish blue color is one of the best looking trucks to me ever, period. And it had like what 380 horsepower supercharged. Yeah, it's just a dope ass truck. So Ford brought back the Lightning name, but they're giving it to their new EV. And I think the fastest one has like 400 or 500 and something horsepower. It's really dope. Here's the problem. Towing. The whole point of a truck is towing. So some of these publications are, testing its towing range, and it's abysmal. It's abysmal. So what's the point then? I mean, it's good to have a fast truck. Okay, cool. And I know the F-150 Lightning wasn't built for towing. Definitely the second one, the first two, right? But like you talked about towing with this Lightning, and like the range is horrible. I saw something about 40 miles range in towing, which is insane. But then I saw something else with like 160 something miles towing range. I mean, that's ish, but that's still not good, right? So what's the point of having a truck, especially if it's not like a super sports truck, if you can't tow for a long distance, right? And that's one of the issues with with pretty much all EVs. Is like, first of all, they don't do the range that they say they do, but that's kind of the same things with combustion engine vehicles. But when it's time to tow, they definitely not towing with any distance. So why don't I just buy my diesel truck and tow my boat, from wherever to wherever, instead of getting an electric vehicle, a special electric truck? Gil Gami said that's German engineering for you. German engineering is dope, but sometimes they way overcomplicate stuff. And here's the thing, and I had to learn this the hard way owning a 300ZX. All of that revolutionary technology stuff is really dope until it breaks. And when it breaks, you're not paying used car prices for the broken part or whatever. You're paying new car prices for it. Because remember, you're talking about something that was experimental, and it's revolutionary, and it's really dope, and it actually is maybe a dope technology until it breaks. Until it shreds, until something happens, and now you got to pay that insane labor cost. Right? Because most likely you can't do it by yourself. These are not 1960s and 70s Fords and GM products we're talking about. Right? Like I remember when BMW introduced the Hot V, which means they put the turbos kind of in the middle of the cylinders, right, to keep it kind of ready to spool at any moment. And I'm like, when that thing goes wrong, that's like a what? That's a headache, right? I know all of us, our women, want some Beamer or Benz, which is okay until it breaks, until something breaks, right? I had to talk to my older sister about that at one point. She wanted the Maserati Ghibli. I was like, "Are you no?" I had to talk her out of it, right? Like, look, it's nice. You got a little Mozzie, yeah, that's cool. Until it breaks, you know, the parent company for Maserati is Ferrari, right? You know you when that shit breaks. Like, yeah, you could find a used Ghibli right now for 30 something thousand dollars, right? Or at least before COVID, used Ghiblis were like 40 grand and you could find one for 38, 40, 42,000. Yeah, that's cool. But then when it breaks, you paying that 70 something thousand dollar price for it. You know. Anyway, moving along. So yeah, the EV thing is interesting. And you know, we're still in the beginning stages of all of this, so that's, you know, that's something to think about. Right? That's something to think about. Another thing. So I caught a little bit of Shay Sade's interview with one of the brothers and Obsidian, and they were speaking about conservatism and if conservatism could save the black community and conservative values. And like, I do think black people tend to lean to social conservatism. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Until you remember you share a party with the greed is good Gordon Gekko Republicans. And then it all falls apart. Right? And then it all falls apart. Right? That's like us on the left. Right? You think we don't value family? Nuclear heterosexual families? Until you realize you share a tent and share a party with the purple hair white feminists on college campuses. Right? Waving their rainbow flags behind you. Right? Until you remember you share a party with those people. Right? So yeah, this is like, that's the sucky part. And I agree with Dr. Thunder so much with this kind of two-party duopoly. Like, black people are like between a rock and a hard place. Right? I agree with the brother Raj talking about voting third party and stuff, and Dr. Thunder speaking about voting third party, because this two-party system crap is like the worst. It's the worst. Right? So yeah, we might have social conservative values, but then you in the party with like with Steve King. Right? So Biden over here telling you you're not black if you don't vote for me, and then Steve King is over here, you know, saying all type of racist stuff on news, like on camera, and everybody's giving him a chance to kind of fix it every single time until he finally pretty much says the N-word. And then finally, like, oh my God, he's racist. The man been saying crazy stuff for years. They just kept on giving him passes and give him a chance to fix it. Right? And that's one of the issues that I see I always tell you about the issues for anybody listening from the conservative side of the political spectrum, brothers. You can ask anybody that listens to me. I throw the left under the bus all the time, right? So today I'm going to throw the right under the bus, right? And that's one of the reasons I think a lot of brothers and sisters don't align politically to the right. It's not that they don't actually have conservative values, especially when you think about family, right? And I'm actually going to tie this to some of what I was saying earlier about the neoliberal black women. It's not that they don't have conservative values. You're right. It's that you're asking them to share, because they're going to have to vote, right? And to vote for who, right? Think about that. You're asking them to align with what? So I'm not saying that they should necessarily vote on the left with the Democrats, but I'm saying It's like what Candace Owens said, right? Like we need to leave the Democratic Party and then what? Go to the Republican. Excuse me. When she said we need to leave the Democratic plantation, the Democrat plantation, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I agree. I actually do agree. That's why I've voted down ballot the past two elections. But the reason why I'm voting down ballot the past two elections is because I'm not leaving the Democratic plantation to go walk over to the Republican plantation. Could we not do plantations? Is that an option? Right? Like that, could that possibly be an answer? Right? Maybe. Right? You have Lee Atwater, Ronald Reagan, Bob Dole, Newt Gingrich, Eric Cantor, like I could keep on going, right? Mitch McConnell, Ted Cruz, Republicans, or you have Clinton, Biden, Hillary Clinton, um, Kamala Harris, Democrats. What type of choice is that? What is that? What is that? I no choice. Hey, do you want to be stabbed with this sword or with this sword? Could I not get stabbed? Is that an option? Right? That's just yeah. So, you know, so I'm watching Obsidian and the brother talking. The brother was speaking about conservative values and everything. And the one real point of contention that I have, and this is like one of my biggest gripes with the right, is they don't like talking environment, right? They don't like talking about economic environment outside of a certain kind of small window. And I just got annoyed because it was just like a bunch of respectability. I'm like, nigga, y'all do realize what the median income is, right? Right? Like y'all do realize the society you live in. Like, yeah, you're right. Black families, conservative values, 100%. But money, like you realize like most Americans aren't rolling in money. We're not even talking about black people right now. Most Americans. So like when you speak about somebody having to stay home and okay, somebody stay home, the median is going to probably be the woman. Okay, the median income for men in America is like 40 grand. Let's say it's 50, because remember I told y'all some of the more recent data is saying it's closer to 50. It's like 48,000 for men. Okay, anywhere from 40 to 50 grand. Where in America, in America, are you raising a family, especially in major cities? Because remember, black people are metropolitan people. We mainly live in cities, right? Outside of maybe certain southern, medium or small towns or cities, you're not, listen, you're not raising a family of four. That's you, your wife, and two kids off of 50 grand in LA. It's not a thing. That's not a thing. You ain't doing it in New York. The whole state, but definitely the boroughs in the South. You definitely not doing it in South Florida. That's not a thing. Could somebody tell me in Texas anywhere, Chicago anywhere, are y'all raising a family of four in Atlanta and Georgia, right? With 50 grand? So like when we say these things out, I just want us to think about what we're saying. I'm not going to chastise anyone. I just want us to think about what we're saying. That's all. That's what I'm saying. The environment is real. And I just get annoyed sometimes when I hear us speak like we're in a vacuum. Like these outside external pressures don't matter. And you can overcome it just by being respectable. That just means like keeping your head down, going to school, adhering to these type of tenets, and like everything will be okay. And I don't know how much of that is true. It may not be completely false, especially for like particular individuals, right? But then like for a community and definitely for a nation, I mean, what I hear oftentimes, and to be 100% honest with y'all, is like, Yeah, we screwed the environment, and yeah, we're greedy, and yeah, we're gonna hoard all the wealth. So what I'm going to do is talk to you about how you're not trying hard enough. So I'm gonna hoard all the wealth, right? I'm going to lock doors behind me. I'm going to Katie bar the windows behind me. So because I know you're gonna try to break through the window, I'm gonna cement up the chimney. But then I'm gonna tell you the reason why you're not in the house is because you're not trying hard enough, right? You don't know business well enough. You don't understand money well enough. You're not disciplined enough. You didn't go to school for the right things. You didn't marry your girlfriend, your baby mama. Like that's why you're not in the place. You don't value nuclear family enough, right? So like if we're gonna say, and I agree with this, by the way, if we're gonna say one of the issues with the left is that they overplay and they play social justice warrior games a little too much, right? And they don't speak about personal responsibility enough, and they don't speak about discipline enough. I can concede that. But then on the right, one of the issues is that we played down environment way too much in the economic structure in greed, right? In too big to fail banks, right? And the fact that with COVID, what did they say in COVID? The top corporations and the richest people, how much money they gained and how they just sucked, they used COVID-19 to suck up even more wealth. And like I told y'all, this is pretty much a zero-sum game when it comes to like this kind of wealth accumulation. So they got it because you don't got it, right? So like that's one of my biggest gripes with some of the brothers the brothers specifically on the right, because I do have my gripes with the non-black people on the right too, but because we're black, I would hope that black people would know better than to kind of fall for these gaslighty ass games. I know gaslighty is not a word, I made it up, right? So that's my only gripe, really. Well, no, that's not my only gripe, but that's my one of my biggest gripes, right? So once again, I'm not saying that you need to adhere to my political philosophy or view. I'm not. Um, but what I am saying is I'm questioning whether you question these kind of larger forces, or do you think you could like alpha your way through these larger societal and economic forces, right? And if you can, does that mean that the rest of the black community not only can also, but will also if they just followed what you followed or what happened with you, right? And do you not take into account luck and like your family structure and maybe what region of the country you were born in or whatever, whoever looked out for you? Do you not also count those things that maybe another person didn't get to kind of put them in your position, right? Even down to like BGS was speaking about on one of his videos, the fact that when I think it was the one where he was speaking about Gen X wealth, right? And he was so 100% right. All of these things matter. By the way, this is my olive branch to the conservative brothers. All of the discipline matters, what you went to school for matters, all of that matters. Yes, absolutely. But nigga, none of that shit mean nothing if you don't got the luck part. None of that mean nothing if you don't got the luck part. And so when BGS said you could be the best man with them, and I'm paraphrasing really, the best man, and you could have the looks and the height and the money and whatever. But if you're not lucky enough to meet the right woman that actually values that and continues to value that until one of y'all pass, that shit don't mean nothing. And I agree with him on that because I've seen it and we've all seen it. And we can't say, nah, nigga, we tried to tell you better and you picked the wrong one. Nah, we all thought she was the right one. You gave your brother a dap, like, yeah, man, I like her too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it all seemed like it was going good until it wasn't. Right? So yes, all of these things matter, man. They all matter. Right? It's not exclusively the environment, but then it's not exclusively like what Jordan Peterson says, well, just clean your room. Let's start there. Right? So that's let me see. Okay, I'm back. I don't know what happened. It just like kicked me out of my own thing just now. Yeah, yeah. So that was my only gripe. I'm not gonna use my channel to beat